It is one of the least known stories in American history. It is the story of Black achievement and accomplishment. Against all odds, American Blacks have built their own institutions, families, schools, churches, and businesses. Against all odds, American Blacks have created great art and science, fought heroically in every American war. Against all odds, Black men and women have worked endlessly to secure their own freedom and equality. The untold story of Blacks in America is a 350-year saga of incredible achievements. This is that story.
Hello, I'm James Avery. In this 7th episode of A History of Black Achievement in America, we shall see how Black leaders and ordinary Black citizens finally forced the federal government to guarantee full rights for all Americans. It was a time when such men and women as Thurgood Marshall, Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Medgar Evers settled for nothing less than full equality for Black Americans. The separate but equal Jim Crow laws were struck down. Integration began, and Blacks pondered the question of their identity and place in a now rapidly changing American society. It was also a time of great breakthroughs for Black women. With World War II over, America, for the first time, faced a foreign power that wanted to destroy it and its way of life. No longer could America afford to overlook the untapped potential offered by its Black citizens. A divided and segregated nation made the country weak before a hostile enemy. Ralph Bunche showed how, given the opportunity, American Blacks performed with great skill at the highest levels of leadership.
Like so many Black intellectuals before him, Ralph Bunche's incredible accomplishments showed to America, and indeed the world, what all competent scientists already knew. There is no correlation between skin color and intelligence, and certainly not ability. Bunche grew up during America's progressive era, moving from Michigan to Albuquerque, New Mexico, finally ending up in Southern California, perhaps one of a few emerging racially tolerant areas of the nation. Given the opportunity, Bunche excelled in athletics and graduated at the top of his mostly all-white high school, Jefferson High. Receiving an athletic scholarship to UCLA, Bunche began his lifelong love affair with learning and education. At the age of 34, he received a PhD from Harvard while already teaching at Howard University. He continued his studies in international relations, anthropology, and economics, doing postdoctoral stints at Northwestern, the London School of Economics, and Cape Town University in South Africa. At the same time, Bunche began his journey into politics, government, and diplomacy. In 1936, he joined Roosevelt's informal Black cabinet with Mary McLeod Bethune, among others, counseling the president on minority affairs. In 1942, Bunche officially joined FDR's administration as chief of the Office of Strategic Services, Colonial Africa Division. Then, with the war nearly over, Ralph Bunche joined the State Department, advising on post-war Africa, the Middle East, and the creation of the United Nations, an institution he was destined to shape and serve from 1946 until his death in 1971. Founded in 1946, the fledgling United Nations met its severest test a year later with the creation of a Jewish state carved out of Palestine. In 1947, Palestinian Arabs, Syria, Lebanon, Transjordan, and Iraq attacked the newly proclaimed independent nation of Israel. The UN sent Count Folke Bernadotte, and Ralph Bunche to mediate the conflict. When the Zionist extremist assassinated Bernadotte, Bunche took over the seemingly hopeless situation. After 11 months of ceaseless negotiating, Bunche obtained the signatures of Israel and its Arab foes on an armistice. Bunche returned home a hero. New York gave him a ticker tape parade. It was for his heroic effort that he received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1950.
After Ralph Bunche negotiated 4 separate treaties which ended the Arab-Israeli War in 1948, he was not only a hero within the African-American community, but as a hero throughout the United States. This meant a great deal to African-Americans because for the first time, an African-American was now pictured as a world leader involved in international affairs, and especially in the aftermath of World War II. This gave an extraordinarily new sense of pride to Black people.
For the rest of his life, Bunche served the United Nations goals of peace and human rights, rising to Undersecretary General. From this platform, with the Nobel Prize in hand, Bunche lent his support to America's civil rights movement, speaking out against racial prejudice, living proof that given the opportunity, Blacks could achieve a life of excellence.
Gwendolyn Brooks stands with America's legendary literary figures. After 20 years of supposed Black inferiority, she gave expression to the truth that Black is beautiful.
Gwendolyn Brooks, perhaps America's greatest female poet, was a child of the lost generation and the Harlem Renaissance. Her themes transcended race. They were human themes that sang to the souls of American women. Like Theodore Dreiser, Langston Hughes, and Sherwood Anderson, writers she admired, she became a superstar among authors. That her genius is not as well known is perhaps because she was a woman. Born in Topeka, Kansas in 1917, Brooks moved with her family to Chicago at an early age. And though she traveled extensively, she always returned to and remained a Chicagoan at heart. Her stories tell of growing up and searching for an identity in America, while at the same time being Black and a woman. Brooks was an unparalleled craftsman when it came to writing poetry. She became the first Black to win a Pulitzer Prize in 1950 for her book of poems, Annie Allen. In the following Italian sonnet, a form Brooks had mastered, the character Annie Allen at her cousin Vit's funeral denies death and affirms life.
Carried her unprotesting out the door. Kicked back the casket stand. It can't hold her. That satin and stuff aiming to enfold her. The lid's contritions nor the bolts before. Oh no. Too much. Too much. Even now. Surmise she rises in sunshine. There she goes. Back to the bar she once knew, and the repose in love rooms, and things in people's eyes too vital, too squeaking, must emerge. Even now she does the snake hips with the hiss, and slaps that bad wine across her shan tongue, talks of pregnancy, guitars, and bridge work, walks in parks and alleys, comes happily on the verge of happiness. Happily hysterics is.
However, it is in Brooks' novel Maud Martha that her main character discovers a fundamental truth: how she could be an ordinary Black woman and be beautiful as well. She compares herself to a dandelion, ordinary but a beautiful flower nonetheless.
She would have liked a lotus, or China asters, or the Japanese iris, or meadow lilies. Yes, she would have liked meadow lilies. For the very word meadow made her breathe more deeply and either fling her arms, or at least want to fling her arms, depending on who was by, rapturously up to whatever was watching the sky. But dandelions were what she chiefly saw, like yellow jewels for every day, studying the patched green dress of her backyard. She liked their demure prettiness second to their everydayness. For in the latte quality, she thought she saw a picture of herself. And it was comforting to find that in what was common was also a flower.
Brooks died in 2000, having inspired 3 generations of black women writers, including Alice Walker and Toni Morrison. Many also say that this greatest of female writers inspired the idea that black is beautiful.
With the fallacy of black inferiority exposed by Brooks, Bunch, and countless other black citizens, the time had come to provide equality for all. Thurgood Marshall and Rosa Parks used the courts and protest to put an end to segregation. The practice of separate but equal was shown to be inherently unfair and unjust.
By the second half of the 20th century, individual blacks in America had made great strides and demonstrated excellence in every walk of life. But for the average African American, little had changed since the Civil War. Equal opportunity in education, work, politics, and housing was non-existent. In the 1950s, this was about to change. The 14th Amendment guaranteed blacks all the rights and privileges of citizens under the Constitution. However, in its infamous 1896 Plessy versus Ferguson decision, the Supreme Court interpreted these rights and privileges to mean separate but equal. This decision essentially validated Jim Crow laws that made the United States a segregated society. The result was that blacks were given substandard school buildings with second-rate supplies. But with President Truman's executive order desegregating the armed services in 1948, the tide began to shift.
No justifiable reason for discrimination because of ancestry, or religion, or race, or color.
The next step occurred in Topeka, the capital of Kansas. A black third grader named Linda Brown had to walk 1 mile through a railroad yard to get to her black elementary school, even though a white elementary school was only 7 blocks away. Linda's father tried to enroll her in the white elementary school, but the principal refused. It was the legal case the NAACP was looking for.
This is a part of the group of lawyers.
Future Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall argued the case and took it all the way to the Supreme Court in 1952. 2 years later, on May 17, 1954, Eisenhower appointee Supreme Court Chief Justice Earl Warren read the decision of the unanimous court. We conclude that in the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place. Separate educational facilities are inherently unequal. The decision did not apply to the separate but equal situation in any other part of society, but the civil rights movement had taken a giant step forward.
Rosa Parks said, "I believe we are here on the planet Earth to live, grow up, and do what we can to make this world a better place for all people to enjoy freedom."
Rosa Parks was known to many African Americans as the mother of the civil rights movement. On December 1, 1955, Mrs. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat in the front of a Montgomery, Alabama city bus to a white passenger. The bus driver had her arrested for violating the city's segregation codes. At the time, Rosa Parks was 42 years old and well respected in the black community of Montgomery. In her quiet way, she had been fighting segregation all of her life. She walked up the stairs of a building rather than riding in an elevator marked Coloreds Only. She went home thirsty instead of drinking from the colored-only water fountains. And Mrs. Parks preferred to walk from her work whenever possible to avoid sitting in the Coloreds-Only section of the back of the city buses. The following night, 50 leaders of the black community, including the young minister Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., met to discuss the issue. The leaders organized the Montgomery bus boycott. The successful citywide boycott of the bus system by blacks lasted for 382 days. It ended in December 1956 when the Supreme Court decided that the Montgomery bus segregation codes violated the Constitution. Parks, with her quiet strength, calm demeanor, and almost regal quality, symbolized to a nation that blacks deserved the same rights as whites. The bus boycott became the first political media event with a black hero. Within 10 years, civil rights legislation would bring America out of the dark ages of racism. As for Rosa Parks, in 1957 she moved to Michigan to escape harassment. In 1996, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Bill Clinton. And in 1999, Congress awarded her the Congressional Gold Medal.
Althea Gibson opened the door for female athletes to compete and win at the highest level of competition.
One by one, the color barriers in America's professional sports were falling. By the middle of the 20th century, black men were competing at the highest level in boxing, baseball, basketball, and football. But it would take a high school dropout living in Harlem to open the door for black women. That person was Althea Gibson. Althea Gibson was born on August 25, 1927. As a child, she often played hooky and eventually dropped out of high school altogether. But when at the age of 14, black musician Buddy Walker gave her a tennis racket, Althea found her passion. Tall, powerful, and athletic on the court, all Gibson needed was discipline. She found it with the support of 2 black doctors who were active in the black tennis community. With their coaching, 8 years after being handed that racket, Gibson won the National Black Women's Tennis Championship. Then at the age of 23, she was invited to compete in the U.S. Open. She played well, but lost in the second round to 3-time Wimbledon champion Louise Breaux. Following the defeat, Gibson went back to school, eventually graduating from Florida A&M. At the same time, she improved her tennis skills. Then at the French Open in 1956, Gibson finally had the breakthrough her whole life had been pointing toward. She defeated the defending champion Angela Mortimer in an electrifying match 6-0, 12-10. The next year, she won Wimbledon and the U.S. Open, and did it again the following year. Over the course of her career, she won a total of 11 Grand Slam events, including 6 doubles titles. Gibson helped to develop a pioneering club of black athletes who opened the door for future superstars. Her success in tennis paved the way for Arthur Ashe and the Williams sisters. In track and field, Wilma Rudolph overcame polio and set the standard for future greats Florence Griffith Joyner and Jackie Joyner-Kersee. The superstars' sports color barrier fell in golf when Tiger Woods won the Masters in 1997.
In Lorraine Hansberry's brilliant play A Raisin in the Sun, white America saw for the first time black Americans struggling with the same issues of success and identity as themselves.
Lorraine Hansberry was born on May 19, 1930 in Chicago, the daughter of a well-known real estate broker. She grew up in Woodlawn in Chicago's South Side. Her parents were intellectuals and activists, providing her with diverse experiences of life. After attending the University of Wisconsin for 2 years, she went to New York, where she studied with W.E.B. Du Bois and wrote for Paul Robeson's Freedom magazine. Her marriage in 1953 to Robert Nemiroff, a white writer and activist, helped further to awaken her writing passion. 6 years later, her masterpiece was ready for its debut. Historically, Hansberry's play told an empirical truth. America's black community, from PhD to welfare recipient, were bound together by the fact that all were ordered to ride at the back of the bus. But with desegregation, blacks knew who they weren't. They weren't sons and daughters of slaves, and they weren't Africans. When the affluent and the professional moved into integrated suburbs and their children attended integrated schools, the sense of community and ethnicity based on Jim Crow laws dissolved. What the play so prophetically showed was the need for, as black author James Baldwin put it, a profound articulation of the black tradition by new black leaders.
When Lorraine Hansberry wrote Raisin in the Sun, the basic question for African Americans was integration. Now, 50 years later, the African American community is divided along political and generational lines that Lorraine Hansberry could not have imagined.
2 years after the play debuted on Broadway, it was made into a movie with a brilliant James Dean-like performance from Sidney Poitier. Tragically, Lorraine Hansberry died from cancer at the age of 34, depriving Americans of all the tremendous stories she might have written, perhaps even contributing more to that articulation Baldwin called for.
No one person embodied the idea that all men and women are created equal more than Martin Luther King Jr. To hold anyone purposely down is the greatest crime of all.
One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. And all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Martin Luther King Jr. spoke those words on August 28, 1963. Standing before the Lincoln Memorial, he addressed 250,000 men and women, black and white, assembled in Washington for a march to support the Civil Rights Bill in Congress. Starting in 1955, blacks would move their fight for equality from the courts directly to the public. King shaped this new movement to end segregation and discrimination with nonviolent protest, beginning with the bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama. It was the kind of protest King's idol, Mahatma Gandhi, used to liberate India from British rule in 1947. A string of remarkable successes followed the bus boycott. In the summer of 1960, young blacks employing King's nonviolent protest strategies staged sit-ins at whites-only lunch counters in 15 southern cities. The most notorious Jim Crow laws forced blacks to use separate facilities in bus and train stations. In 1961, James Farmer, director of the Congress of Racial Equality, organized blacks to challenge these laws in a series of freedom rides from Washington, D.C. to New Orleans. In 1962, James Meredith challenged segregation of Southern universities when he enrolled at the traditionally whites-only University of Mississippi. When rioting broke out, resulting in the deaths of 2 people, President Kennedy ordered in federal troops to protect Meredith and bring peace to the campus. It was the end of segregated universities in the South. Finally, in 1963, King led demonstrations in Birmingham, Alabama, to desegregate public schools. However, by this time, many young blacks, frustrated by the slow progress of King's nonviolent method, were turning in another direction. 3 centuries of pent-up black rage was about to spill over onto the streets. As for King, like many mythic heroes, he would die a tragic death. Martin Luther King Jr. would be dead from a sniper's bullet on April 4th, 1968, in Memphis, Tennessee.
In the final episode of A History of Black Achievement in America, we'll see how blacks respond when they reach a new level of opportunity. See how they use this opportunity to move into positions of power and service to America. And finally, through television, all of America begins to embrace the country's African roots. Thank you for watching A History of Black Achievement in America. I'm James Avery.